My second child with Myra Jiang was born, yet no one knows that I had already died 6 months ago. That night, I accidentally caught Myra Jiang and our housemaid in the throes of passion. They were wild, lost in ecstasy. He didn't even notice when my son and I approached. Yet my usually obedient and sensible son sided with the nanny, urging me not to make the scene too awkward. Only then did I realize that the nanny, whom I had treated as family, was actually Myra Jiang's former fiancé. Her meticulous care for me was solely to obtain my unborn child's umbilical cord blood for medical treatment. I was determined to have an abortion, but Myra Jiang accidentally knocked me unconscious. After I was declared brain dead, they suppressed the news and spent all their resources to keep me alive. 6 months later, they performed a C-section to extract the umbilical cord blood. The premature baby cried twice before passing away, and there I was, gutted open. Having my ventilator removed on the operating table, when I opened my eyes again, I was punching scumbags and kicking out the homewrecker. But later, Myra Jiang knelt with her son at my doorstep, refusing to leave, sobbing, begging me to see them just once. "Bo, you said you would love me for a lifetime. Does that still hold true?" When I opened my eyes, I found myself back to the time before Myra Jiang's infidelity. I knew all too well that for the sake of the Shen family's reputation, even if I caught Myra Jiang red-handed, my father would never allow me to divorce so easily. To cut the weeds and dig up the roots, I had no choice but to summon Xu Yun, the Secretary General of the Board of Directors. I just brought Xu Yun home, and as soon as we entered, I saw Myra Jiang setting up the birthday party venue for me. When he saw me, he quickly came over with a smile. "Bo, take a look and see if there's anything wrong with these decorations." Xu Yun stood aside, looking at Myra Jiang with great satisfaction in his eyes. "You truly consider everything for the young lady. No wonder everyone admires you." Myra Jiang only then noticed the unfamiliar woman by my side. A proper smile lingered at the corner of his lips. "Bo, who is this?" I sneered inwardly while maintaining a composed exterior. "Aunt Yun, who took care of me when I was little, came to visit me because she missed me, in the year we got married." Xu Yun had long since stepped back from the spotlight, and Myra Jiang hadn't even met her. Just as I was about to instruct the servants to arrange accommodations for Xu Yun, a sudden commotion erupted from upstairs. "Mom, what gives you the right to make decisions for me and send me abroad to study? Your need for control is just too much." Nox Jiang yelled at me in front of so many people, not leaving me any dignity. My heart was tightly wound, but I patiently explained. "Sending you abroad to study is for your own good. Many people would do anything to get such an opportunity. In my past life, I defied everyone's opposition and even used my father's connections to get Nox Jiang into that world-renowned business school. I thought that only by proving himself and achieving success would he make everyone see him in a new light. That way, no one would question his inheritance of the Shen family. I devoted myself wholeheartedly to paving the way for him. But not only did he not show any gratitude, he even came to my hospital bed every day during those months I was brain dead, hurling insults at me. Even to humiliate me, they deliberately delayed changing my diaper, letting the yellow liquid soak through my bedding. "It's all your fault. You forced me to study abroad. I could have joined an esports club as a professional player. But now you've ruined everything. You keep saying I'm your biological son, but deep down, you don't understand me at all. All you care about is the Shen family and whether you'll lose face. You don't understand me as well as Auntie Sue does. I wish she were my real mother." That heart-wrenching sound just won't fade from my memory. I've shouldered the Shen family's burdens with all my might, swallowing every hardship and suffering in silence. I don't seek vanity, nor do I ever flaunt before outsiders. The only thing I want is for my child to take fewer detours in life. Not to struggle and stumble like I did. But in the end, sincerity was repaid not with gratitude, but with venomous accusations. The scene fell silent for a few seconds as Su Qingzhu hurried down from upstairs. She looked at Nox Jiang, unable to suppress the heartache in her eyes. "Madam, don't force the child. Even playing games can lead to success. Who knows, he might outshine those who went abroad in the future. They still think I don't know." But Nox Jiang had actually already connected with professional esports teams long ago. They even sent him an employment contract in advance. In my past life, I insisted on sending him abroad to study, which caused him to miss the chance to become a professional esports player. But I never expected him to resent me for it, seeing someone speak up for him. Nox Jiang looked up at me, the mockery in his eyes undisguised. Aunt Su really understands me. The scene was all too familiar, back then. I naively thought Nox Jiang's reliance on Su Qingzhu was because she had taken such careful care of him when he was little. Looking back now, I finally understand that this dependency was cultivated through Su Qingzhu's repeated and unconditional indulgence. My knuckles turned white from gripping too hard. The pain in my heart so intense it nearly took my breath away. Shu Yun was the first to notice something was wrong with me and stepped in to explain on my behalf. Everything your mother did was for your sake. Not everyone can receive an acceptance letter from a top-tier international university. Nox Jiang completely ignored her and, in a fit of anger, directly pushed Shu Yun to the ground. What do you think you are? Who are you to meddle in our family's affairs? His movements were rough and vicious, with no restraint in his strength. Myra Jiang rushed over in a few steps, pressing her hand on Nox Jiang's shoulder, her voice laced with menace. Stop. This is Aunt Yun, who took care of your mother for the Shen family. Nox Jiang shook off Myra Jiang's hand, his face full of disdain. Calling her a servant sounds nice, but in my eyes, she's just a dog of the Shen family. I helped Aunt Yun up from the ground, took a deep breath, and forced myself to stay calm. Are you really willing to give up business school to play some game? I stared at Nox Jiang one last time, my voice icy and almost devoid of warmth. The kid nodded, his face full of arrogant triumph. My heart struggled for just a second before I gave up. I went straight to the study, tore the business school admission letter to shreds, and threw the pre-prepared disownment document in front of Nox Jiang. I smirked coldly, without a trace of hesitation. Since you've chosen esports, the Shen family has nothing more to do with you. Sign it, and I'll never interfere with your decisions again. A glimmer of delight flashed in Nox Jiang's eyes as he signed his name on the agreement without even glancing at its contents. Those are your words. Don't you dare go back on them. Watching his relieved expression, I sneered inwardly. Little fool. If I had known that the esports idol I've always admired had another side to him, I wonder how he would feel about it, when it was just Aunt Yun and me in the room at night. She couldn't help but lower her voice to advise me. Miss, Nox Jiang is still young, and it's inevitable for him to have a temper. Don't take it to heart. That esports company has long been notorious. If you let him act recklessly, aren't you just pushing him into a pit of fire? I leaned against her shoulder, closing my eyes wearily. Aunt Yun, just wait and see. Give it 5 more days, and you'll naturally understand my plan. She shook her head helplessly. I'll agree to whatever you say. But I think the gentleman has been quite decent to you. Why have you grown suspicious of him? I remained silent. At that time, Myra Jiang was just a junior lawyer in the company. She caught my father's attention after helping the company avoid millions in losses. For years, he has been seen by everyone as the model husband. My father chose to entrust me to him. Everyone said it was a well-matched marriage. No one knew that he and Su Qingzhu had already been engaged at that time. But in the face of the Shen family's wealth and prestige, he and Su Qingzhu tacitly agreed to keep it hidden. Over the years at the Shen family, Myra Jiang has been extremely cautious, ensuring no one could find any leverage against her. Everyone thinks he deserves my trust and is worthy of entrusting the rest of my life to. But deep down, I know all this is just an illusion. That's precisely why I invited Shu Yun to witness it. If I go all out to expose Myra Jiang, my father would refuse my divorce on the grounds of damaging the Shen family's reputation. But Shu Yun was different from others. Not only had she watched me grow up since childhood, but she was also the Secretary General of the Shen Group. Even my father held her in high regard. Only with her presence could I stabilize the situation. Early the next morning, a loud bang from next door startled both Shu Yun and me awake from our sleep. I grabbed my coat and went downstairs, only to see my sister-in-law Jiang Ting standing barefoot at the door. She glared at me, her eyes filled with grievance and resentment. Bo Shen, what exactly do you mean? I instinctively furrowed my brows. What's wrong with you again? Jiang Ting plopped down on the sofa. You have money to send your son abroad for studies, but you want me to marry some poor guy and live a miserable life. I don't care. I want to break off the engagement with him. Ju Ran was the marriage candidate I painstakingly selected for Jiang Ting. In the previous life, less than 2 years after Jiang Ting married Ju Ran, he rose from humble beginnings to become a rising star in the business world. Even the Shen family had to defer to him. Yet not only did she fail to show gratitude, she even came to my sickbed every day to humiliate me during the time I was bedridden with brain death. She was still young when I married into the Jiang family, and I practically raised her single-handedly. Others thought she was worried about me, her elder sister-in-law, but in reality, she just wanted to see me humiliated. To further shame me, she even recorded a video to show her little clique. Look, this is Bo Shen, the eldest daughter of the Shen family. Now she's worse than a useless cripple. She hates me because I orchestrated her life, preventing her from being with her so-called first love. A selfish person like you. No wonder my brother would never like you. At this thought, my heart felt as if it were being torn apart. I clenched my fingers, my voice turning colder. Ju Ran is a good man. Why would you reject someone so wonderful and insist on marrying a divorced old man instead? But Jiang Ting had clearly lost all reason. That kind of poor wretch can't even make a living for himself, and he drags me down with him. Do you want me to suffer and die with him in some rented hovel? The Shen family is so wealthy. Are you saving it all for Nox Jiang to squander? The more she spoke, the more agitated she became, her emotions nearly collapsing. Kui Shen's financial resources are no worse than your Shen family's. As long as I marry him, I'll have everything I want. Why should I continue to suffer with Ju Ran? He even promised to invest in a movie for me and make me his leading lady. Can Ju Ran offer me that? In my past life, she had said the same things. Back then, I foolishly tried to reason with her, thinking she was just acting on impulse. But now, I see no point in trying to persuade her anymore. Even an explanation feels superfluous. Before I could speak, Su Qingzhu hurried over at the sound of the commotion. She immediately stood by Jiang Ting's side, her eyes red as she pretended to mediate. What's wrong with the young lady pursuing happiness? She's still young. It's not easy to meet someone she likes. Just agree to it, won't you? In my previous life, I immediately scolded her when I heard these words. One must consider the long-term consequences and not just focus on the immediate. Su Qingzhu fell silent after my reprimand, but her gaze toward me was filled with hidden resentment. To get back at me, she engaged in passionate affairs with Myra Jiang by my sickbed every day. The scar in my heart was torn open again, exposed to the air. Suppressing the bitterness and resentment in my heart, I said hoarsely, since Aunt Su has pleaded for you, I'll grant your wish. I agree to your remarriage, but I won't give you a single penny of the Shen family's dowry. The villa under your name will have nothing to do with you from today onward. Jiang Ting was taken aback for a moment, her eyes suddenly turning cold before she let out a mocking laugh. You think I'd even want what you're offering, once I marry into the Kui family? What couldn't I buy? I'll buy 10 villas for Su Qingzhu as gifts. Don't you dare get jealous then. I let out a soft snort through my nose. That's what you said. I never even thought she would thank me. Whether the Kui family has money or not, don't I know that already? Jiang Ting couldn't wait to break off her engagement with Ju Ran. On the night of the birthday banquet, she returned with that fake tycoon Kui Shen. Holding Kui Shen's arm, she said smugly, "Look, sister-in-law. Young Master Kui bought this blue diamond for me at the auction. Much more generous than you ever were." Aunt Yun frowned as she looked at the so-called blue diamond in Jiang Ting's hand. She leaned in for a closer look, and her expression instantly darkened. "Young lady, this is a fake," Aunt Yun whispered to me in a low voice. I watched Kui Shen staring fixedly at the female singer on stage. A cold sneer rising in my heart, Aunt Yun asked me with concern, "Miss, this Kui fellow is two-faced. I fear Miss Gu's days of hardship are yet to come. She grew up under your care, after all. Won't you try to persuade her again?" I shook my head, swirling the red wine glass in my hand. "Aunt Yun, you'll soon understand why I'm doing this. Tonight, I'm going to give them a gift they'll never forget." As soon as the banquet began, Myra Jiang claimed she wasn't feeling well and went back to her room to rest. I curled my lips into a smile. The show was finally about to begin, so, feigning a headache, I took Aunt Yun and left the banquet hall. I led Aunt Yun all the way to the master bedroom. She looked puzzled, but before she could ask any questions, the sounds of a man and woman entwined in passion reached her ears from inside the master bedroom. Myra Jiang's voice came from inside. "Qingzhu, your chemotherapy is finally over. I've been going crazy without you." Su Qingzhu chuckled coquettishly. "Don't be impatient. Today is the young lady's birthday banquet. Won't she get suspicious if you leave without saying goodbye? I turned on the bedroom surveillance and watched Myra Jiang pin Su Qingzhu down on the bed with rough movements. Don't worry. She may seem decisive and efficient in public, but around me, she's just a lovesick fool. She'd never imagine in a million years that I came here to see you, yet. Su Qingzhu still seemed uneasy. Linjiang, I can't shake the feeling that Bo Shen has been acting a bit off lately. What she cares about most is Nox Jiang and Jiang Ting. How could she suddenly become so indifferent and let them do whatever they want? Do you think she might already know about our relationship? Myra Jiang comforted her softly. Don't scare yourself, we've never told anyone about our engagement, so how could she know? Besides, what are you afraid of her for? Both our son and my sister are on your side, she wouldn't dare lay a finger on you. Even though I'd heard these same words in my past life, the mere thought of the child I carried for 10 months helping an outsider deceive me made my heart burn with pain as if stabbed by a knife. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, forcing back all my tears. But Aunt Yun had a fiery temper. She kicked open the door to the master bedroom and angrily pointed at Myra Jiang. You shameless wretch. How dare you sneak around behind the young lady's back? Myra Jiang hurriedly pulled up the covers, unable to hide the guilt in her eyes. Bo, weren't you supposed to be at the banquet? I let out a cold snort, fury churning in my chest. What, are you blaming me for ruining your little scheme? Su Qingzhu hid under the covers, clutching helplessly at Myra Jiang's arm. Myra Jiang, say something. The young lady will definitely not let us off. I'm just a small nanny. She could crush me with just a flick of her finger. Su Qingzhu tearfully broke down in grievance, and Myra Jiang quickly shielded her in her arms. He glared at me, teeth clenched in anger. Don't be afraid, I'm here, no one can hurt you. As Myra Jiang finished speaking, the scornful laughter of Nox Jiang came from behind. What's so strange about Dad being with Aunt Su? Jiang Ting also leaned out from the doorway, smiling mockingly. That's right. Sister Su has taken care of our family for so many years. What's wrong with my brother liking her? If you hadn't interfered, Sister Su would have been with my brother long ago. In the end, you're the one who's the homewrecker. I turned my gaze to Nox Jiang. Do you think so too? Nox Jiang sneered, his eyes filled with disgust. How could that be? She still cares about family ties. I genuinely hope you get lost as soon as possible. Let Aunt Su be the lady of this house. At least she won't meddle in everything like you do. I let out a self-mocking laugh, suppressing the bitterness in my throat. Since you all want me to leave, I can only oblige. Myra Jiang, let's get a divorce. Seeing the expressions on their faces, my heart turned completely cold. I don't even want to wait for the court to file for divorce anymore. Now, I just want to end this marriage immediately. Hearing me mention divorce, Nox Jiang's eyes suddenly brightened. As if he had heard some good news, he spoke first. Sure, divorce. I'm the first to agree, but I won't go with you. I'm staying with Dad. He nudged Jiang Ting, who was still standing there in a daze. Jiang Ting snapped out of it and quickly voiced her stance. Maybe it's better this way. So you won't interfere with my marriage to Quishan anymore. You're just unhappy in your own marriage and can't stand to see me happy in mine. A cold smile played at the corners of my mouth. Aunt Yun. Do you understand now? Aunt Yun's face had turned deathly pale with anger, her voice trembling. A pack of ungrateful wolves. After all these years of planning for them, Jiang Ting immediately pulled out several sheets of paper from her bag, signed the custody relinquishment agreement to avoid future disputes over Nox. She glared at me, as if afraid I might change my mind. At that moment, Myra Jiang suddenly slammed her palm on the coffee table. The roar startling Jiang Ting so much that she dropped the pen in her hand. Have you two idiots had enough of this nonsense? How has Bo treated you all these years? Without her, there would be no Jiang family. I can't bring myself to betray her trust. Nox Jiang scoffed dismissively, letting out a derisive laugh. Dad, you're just too weak. If she stays in this house for even one more day, how can we have any peace? Let alone Auntie Su, if she knows what's good for her. She should pack up and get out as soon as possible, making room for Auntie Su to move in. Jiang Ting also lowered her head and chimed in. Right, brother, you have to think about Sister Su. As long as Bo Shen stays in this house for another day, will Sister Su ever have a peaceful life? Myra Jiang, however, was resolute. No need to say more. I will absolutely not divorce. Qingzhu, can you understand me? He turned to look at Su Qingzhu, whose eyes were brimming with tears. portraying the epitome of understanding and empathy. I know it's not easy for any of you, and you're doing this for everyone's good. Please don't make it difficult for Myra, okay? Nox Jiang and Jiang Ting exchanged glances, completely oblivious to the hidden meaning behind those words. Aunt Yun walked up to me and whispered in a low voice, "Bo, I think Myra Jiang still cares about past affections after all. If you really leave, even if Su Qingzhu comes in, things might not be much better. How about giving him another chance? Myra Jiang's greatest skill is acting. In the past, she managed to deceive the Shen family's board of directors and the media, and now she almost fooled Aunt Yun, but I'm determined to tear off his fig leaf. You keep saying it's for their own good, but Myra Jiang, do you think I don't know your plan? You refuse to divorce at all costs. Isn't it just because you're eyeing the umbilical cord blood of the child in my womb to cure Su Qingzhu's illness? As soon as I die, you can rightfully inherit all the property under my name. Then, wouldn't you be free to marry whoever you want?" Myra Jiang's face instantly paled, the faint pretense of kindness at the corners of her lips vanishing in an instant. In its place, a look of ruthless malice and venom filled her eyes. "Bo Shen, if you weren't so sharp, you might have lived a few more years. Pity, you've backed yourself into a corner." Watching his expression change in an instant, Aunt Yun was so furious she nearly lost control. She stepped forward, shielding me behind her, and looked directly at Myra Jiang. "So it was all an act? You'd actually go this far for money and women, showing no mercy at all? Bo, don't mind them. Let's go back to the Shen family. I'll accompany you through the divorce procedures. We'll definitely fight for justice." Aunt Yun resolutely turned around, grabbed my hand, and headed straight for the door. Little did we know, Myra Jiang's cruelty ran even deeper than we had imagined. He silently gestured to Nox Jiang and Jiang Ting. They immediately reacted, blocking our path from both sides. Myra Jiang spoke with a sinister tone. "Nox, take your mother upstairs to the study and lock her in. Just tell everyone she's seriously ill, so the Shen family's shares and assets will still belong to us. As for this old thing, take her to the rooftop and push her off. It's normal for the elderly to lose their footing." Aunt Yun was so angry her hands trembled, but before she could speak, the butler came running. "Young lady, someone from the Shen family is here." Su Qingzhu's face turned deathly pale in an instant, almost translucent. She clutched Myra Jiang's arm desperately, her voice trembling with tears. "Myra Jiang, what do we do now? I'm so scared." Myra Jiang comforted her softly, yet her voice remained remarkably calm. "What's the panic? Have you forgotten who calls the shots in this house? Later, you just need to stick to one thing. Insist that Bo Shen is mentally unstable." His voice was dark, carrying a chilling calmness. Nox Jiang patted his chest. "Auntie Su, don't worry, with us here, no one can do anything to you." Jiang Ting also chimed in. "That's right, Sister Su, we're definitely on your side." Bo Shen brought this upon herself. I didn't want to waste my breath arguing with them. As I turned around, I spotted a familiar figure at the stairwell. I thought it was someone from the board coming, but to my surprise, it was my mom. My mom is genuinely pleased with her son-in-law, Myra Jiang, and has always been lenient with Nox Jiang. Seeing that it was my mom, they also breathed a sigh of relief. Nox Jiang was the first to rush over. Burying his head in her shoulder like a spoiled child, Jiang Ting followed closely, tearfully clinging to my mother's arm. Myra Jiang's actions were even more exaggerated. Half bowing as she helped my mother sit on the sofa, a satisfied smile appeared at the corner of my mother's mouth. Her gaze then shifted to me, her eyes filled with obvious displeasure. "Bo, such a wonderful husband and you're still not satisfied, actually thinking about getting a divorce." Hearing the word divorce, Myra Jiang's face instantly turned ashen, but she quickly put on that innocent mask again, speaking in a gentle voice. "Mom, you might not be fully aware yet. Nox and Tinga have recently had some issues with Bo's arrangements. The housekeeper spoke up for them, and Bo, being quick-tempered, took his frustration out on her. I merely defended Su Qingzhu a couple of times, and then Bo started suspecting something between me and her. I never expected it would escalate to the point of divorce." Nox Jiang quickly nodded in agreement. "Grandma, Aunt Su has taken care of me since I was little. She was just speaking up for me. But who knew Mom would turn around and get so angry? She's so petty." Jiang Ting stood to the side, her eyes glistening with tears. "Auntie, it's all our fault. Sister-in-law has been upset with us all along, and we'll accept whatever blame comes our way." But please don't blame my brother or sister Sue. Mother reached out and patted Nox Jiang's head, her expression filled with doting indulgence. Bo, you're a mother now, how can you still act like a little girl, losing your temper so easily? If it weren't for your dad being busy lately, I wouldn't dare let him know you're talking about divorce again. My mom waved her hand impatiently. Alright, now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, let's not bring up divorce again in the future. Seeing her about to leave, I quickly stopped her. Mom, could you please listen to me finish what I have to say first? Before she could answer, I poured out all the grievances I had endured these past days. After hearing me out, my mother seemed to freeze in place as if turned to stone. Is this true? Nox Jiang interrupted me sharply. She's lying. His tone was fierce. Grandma, don't listen to my mom's nonsense. She's the best at twisting the truth and smearing people. Jiang Ting wiped her tears and timidly chimed in. That's right, Auntie. Sister-in-law hasn't been in a good mental state lately. Always suspicious and imagining things. You mustn't believe her wild accusations. Mother was clearly somewhat swayed. Myra Jiang suddenly fell to her knees with a thud, her voice strained. Mom, if getting a divorce can really calm Bo down, I'm willing to divorce. I just beg you not to take it out on Su Qingzhu, and don't blame the children either. Seeing this scene, my mother couldn't help but let out a long sigh. What a wonderful man Bo, Myra Jiang is. What man could go to such lengths, enduring your temper for so many years? How could you even think of divorcing such a good husband? My throat tightened as I was about to retort, when Aunt Yun, who had been silent all along, slowly walked over to me. Madam, I can testify for the young lady. Every word she said is true. My mother froze the moment she saw Aunt Yun. She nodded slightly, with an indescribable sense of respect. Why is Aunt Yun here too? Before Aunt Yun could speak, Jiang Ting couldn't wait to rush out. Aunt, this woman is just a servant in the house. Now she's been brought by my sister-in-law to give false testimony, framing my brother and sister Sue. How much of what she says can be believed? Nox Jiang suddenly stepped forward and threw a punch at Shu Yun without warning. Damn old hag, mind your own business. Ever since you came to our house, there hasn't been a single peaceful day. But before he could touch Shu Yun, the family bodyguard had already swiftly grabbed Nox Jiang's arm. Nox Jiang's face twisted in pain as he howled in fury. Without hesitation, Aunt Yun delivered a sharp slap across his face. Your mother might as well have given birth to a piece of char siu instead of you. You're an embarrassment. Nox Jiang stood frozen, his eyes burning with rage and resentment. Seeing this, Jiang Ting went berserk, grabbing a fruit knife from the tray and charging straight at Shu Yun. Say one more word if you dare. Do you believe I can make sure you don't leave here alive? My mother suddenly seized Jiang Ting's wrist, her voice icy and piercing. Had enough of your madness. How many lives do you think you have to dare lay a hand on her? My mother scanned the crowd, her gaze settling on Aunt Yun. Ms. Shu is the chief overseer of the Shun group. She holds veto power over the Shun family and has the authority to freeze all of your assets. The air instantly froze. Myra Jiang and the others stiffened immediately. I watched the expressions on their faces crumble inch by inch. They probably never dreamed in their wildest dreams that Shu Yun's status was far higher than that position at home, and that even the power of life and death was in her hands. My mother continued coldly. I agree to your divorce with Myra Jiang. As for them, call the police. The moment the words were spoken, the house erupted into chaos. Myra Jiang's face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling uncontrollably. Seeing that the situation was beyond saving, he rushed to me and grabbed my legs, his voice shaking. Bo, listen to me, none of this was my idea. Back then, when your father asked me to marry you, I actually wanted to say no, but Su Qingzhu kept egging me on. She said this was the only way we could take a shortcut and turn our lives around overnight. Bo, please, I was wrong, I truly regret it. Forgive me just once, and let's start over. Okay, Bo, you said you would love me for a lifetime. Does that still count? He looked pitiful, his hands gripping the hem of my pants tightly, refusing to let go even a little. Over there, Su Qingzhu was already stunned. Seeing Myra Jiang dumping all the blame on her, her face turned pale. She lunged forward suddenly, tearing at Myra Jiang while crying and cursing. The once loving couple had turned into bitter enemies in the blink of an eye. Myra Jiang, that's bullshit. Who was it that said we should cozy up to the Shun family? Who asked me to play along with your act to deceive Bo Shun? You ungrateful wretch. Two dogs biting each other. a disgraceful spectacle. My patience has run out, I no longer find them the least bit pitiable. I turned to look at my mother. Leave it to me. No need to dirty your hands. I turned my head and whispered instructions to the bodyguard. First, sever their limbs, then gouge out their eyes. Make sure to keep a close watch on this despicable couple. Don't let them die. If they die, wouldn't that be letting them off too easily? Myra Jiang and Su Qingzhu rolled on the ground in a frenzy, but no one paid them any attention. Memories of the past flowed through my mind like scenes from a play. Every hurt they had inflicted on me was repaid in full tonight. Nox Jiang and Jiang Ting had no time to process what was happening. Their eyes fixed on me in stunned silence. It was as if they had been abruptly jolted awake from a long, blissful dream, their minds now filled with nothing but rage and humiliation. I walked over slowly, my smile icy. Your turn now. What? Still thinking of running? They had been spoiled by me. Yet showed not a hint of panic at this moment. Nox Jiang stared at me coldly. Boshan, do you think you're even a decent mother? Aunt Su treats us better than you, our own mother. We just like her more. I didn't speak, just stared into his eyes that looked so much like Myra Jiang's. Jiang Ting raised her chin, mimicking his tone, her voice sharp. That's right. You treat us like pawns on your chessboard, just to satisfy your ridiculous vanity. Sister Su is clearly kinder. Yet you keep calling her a nanny. Her tone was full of disdain and resentment. Both of them looked resolute, as if forcing me to back down. Watching the two children I've raised since they were little, I tried to keep my voice steady. Even though my throat felt dry, I admit my approach to parenting has been too harsh over the years. But I did it all for your own good. You may not understand now, but you will when you grow up. Nox Jiang let out a cold scoff, his eyes filled with mockery. For our own good, we could have succeeded just fine without you. Just you wait. I'll definitely become a professional gamer and win the championship in the top-tier league. Don't expect me to call you mom ever again. Jiang Ting didn't back down either. That's right. I'll become a big star too, with fans, a career. And Brother Meng, who needs your interference? For a moment, I almost didn't recognize the two children before me. I gave them one last chance to step down. If Nox Jiang could apologize, or even show the slightest hint of remorse, I might have reluctantly let go of the past, stopped insisting on prestigious schools, and ceased forcing them onto the paths I had planned. But they had long grown accustomed to Su Qingzhu's doting. By then, my heart had completely turned cold. Since that's the case, from now on, you have no connection whatsoever with the Shen family or with me. Your path is yours to walk alone. Whether it leads to wealth and glory or to the mire of despair, don't come looking for me. From now on, don't call me mom, and don't call me sister-in-law either. As soon as the words were spoken, the two left without even turning their heads. The mother originally wanted to say a few words of persuasion, but Shu Yun reached out to stop her. Madam, some people are born with the hearts of wolves and the guts of dogs, no matter how much the young lady raised them for over a decade. They never grew loyal. There's no use saying more now. Mother didn't say anything more, only sighed. For half a year, I did only two things. First, I locked the despicable pair Myra Jiang and Su Qingzhu in the exclusive VIP ward of the Shen family hospital, the very same ward where they had imprisoned me in my previous life when I was brain dead. On the hospital bed, Myra Jiang lay with all limbs severed, her body connected to numerous medical devices, capable only of emitting faint whimpers. Upon examination, it was discovered that Su Qingzhu's illness was feigned. To punish her, I severed her limbs just as I had done to Myra Jiang, and additionally scarred the face she took such pride in. Following Aunt Yun's suggestion, I adopted a godson. It was Ju Ran, who had neither father nor mother and had been rejected by Jiang Ting in the marriage arrangement. When I saw Ju Ran burning the midnight oil, studying various financial books day and night, he silently endured all the pressure, suddenly making me believe that there truly are children in this world who know how to repay kindness. Later, I gave the opportunity to study abroad to Ju Ran. He looked utterly surprised. I had thought he would blame me for acting on my own, but when I saw the tears of gratitude in his eyes, everything I did for him was worth it. I had just finished packing Ju Ran's luggage when I saw an unexpected figure at the doorstep. Sister-in-law, Quishan wants to cut out my kidney to pay off his gambling debts. The door wasn't fully open yet, but Jiang Ting had already rushed in like a madwoman. Her face was covered in bruises, and the blood at the corner of her lips hadn't been wiped clean. She collapsed onto the carpet, clutching my calf desperately, as if grasping at her last shred of hope. I looked down at her, feeling nothing but scorn and indifference. Jiang Ting, calm down. Yet she seemed not to hear, crying out incoherently, "Sister-in-law, save me. Quishan has gone mad. He forced me to sleep with the director, and when I refused, he beat me. I've already miscarried 3 times, almost lost my life." Her voice was hoarse and trembling. I impatiently pulled my leg back. "Why beg me? Go beg your sister Sue." There wasn't a trace of sympathy in my tone. Her current disheveled state was worlds apart from her former haughty demeanor. Like night and day, Jiang Ting knelt on the ground, refusing to let go, dragging herself stubbornly to my feet. "Sister-in-law, please help me. This time it's real. I swear I'll never be willful again. I'll change. I won't go looking for those people anymore. I'm willing to marry Ju Ran. Please, save me." Yet her nearly pleading expression only made me feel pity and amusement. I looked down at her. My eyes filled with indifference. Begging me. Didn't she always look down on this family? Look down on me. Ignoring her grasping, I turned to go upstairs. At that very moment, footsteps were heard outside the door. I glanced sideways. It was Ju Ran. Seeing Jiang Ting gripping me tightly, Ju Ran suddenly frowned. Jiang Ting rushed over as if seeing a savior, grabbed his wrist, and sobbed uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, Ju Ran. I know I was wrong. I'm willing to marry you, really. I'll listen to you from now on. I'll change." The back of her hand still bore needle marks and scars, yet Ju Ran withdrew his hand without hesitation, casting her a cold, indifferent glance. "You're not worthy." His voice was low, but it mercilessly crushed Jiang Ting's last shred of hope. Jiang Ting froze instantly. Leaving only the sound of her heavy breathing, Ju Ran looked at me with a composed expression. "Aunt Shun. The only reason I agreed to marry Jiang Ting back then was out of respect and admiration for you. If it weren't for your charity during those years, I would have frozen to death in a garbage dump. I agreed to the arranged marriage solely to repay your kindness, and I've repaid all that was owed. Now, I just want to study, work, and build a career through my own abilities." I gave a slight nod and reached out to pat his shoulder. "You have your own thoughts, and I'm very happy for you. I respect all your choices." I turned to stare at Jiang Ting. The last trace of color drained from her face. "As you can see, Ju Ran has no intention of marrying you. You've brought this upon yourself by getting to this point. Don't bother me again." Before I could finish speaking, Jiang Ting abruptly raised her face. Her eyes were bloodshot, fixed on me like a desperate, trapped animal. "How can you be so heartless? Ju Ran isn't even related to you by blood. Yet you indulge him in everything. I grew up under your care too. How can you be so biased? You've never truly treated me as your own sister." Her voice rose, screaming as if she had gone mad. I sneered. "Favoritism. I respect Ju Ran because he knows how to repay kindness. You and Nox Jiang. All you do all day is scheme, treating my efforts as a burden. Besides, wasn't this path your own choice? You mistook trash for treasure, and now that you want to turn back, you expect everyone to clean up your mess for you. Who do you think you are?" Each word pierced her heart like a knife. Jiang Ting trembled with anger but couldn't utter a single word in rebuttal. Just then, the door was kicked open. Quishan barged in with 2 burly men in tow. The moment he saw me, his face instantly broke into an ingratiating smile. "President Shen, don't listen to her nonsense. We're doing just fine. It's all a misunderstanding, I assure you." I couldn't even be bothered to look at him. "Take her away. Don't let me see her again." Quishan glanced at me, then grabbed Jiang Ting and dragged her outside. Jiang Ting struggled desperately, screaming hoarsely, "Bo Shen, you'll die a horrible death, you vicious woman." My smile remained calm. She had pushed herself into a corner, and someone had to pay the price. I was about to turn back inside when another commotion erupted outside the door. The servant lowered her voice and moved closer to the door. "Mr. Shen, someone has barged in. It's Nox Jiang." Ju Ran and I exchanged glances, a hint of mockery in our eyes. "Let him in. Tonight, I really want to see what else he can come up with." The door was slammed open as Nox Jiang staggered in. Covered in grimy blood, his white hoodie torn to shreds, Nox Jiang thudded to his knees before me, his voice ragged and broken. "Mom, they're going to chop off my hand. Save me." I narrowed my eyes slightly. Truth be told, the turn of events was exactly as I had anticipated, and not a ripple of surprise crossed my face. "Weren't you the one who said you feared nothing?" That you'd always succeed. What's the matter this time? Scared, Nox Jiang's face was deathly pale, his lips trembling violently. He glanced at Ju Ran standing in the corner, bit his lip hard, and lowered his head. If they really want to kill me, there's no way I can escape. Mom, I was wrong. I ignored his wails and continued asking calmly, wasn't esports the dream you've been chasing since childhood? You kept saying you wanted to be a professional player. How did you end up in such a miserable state now? Nox Jiang pressed his forehead against the floor, breathing heavily, and finally couldn't hold back a sob. I didn't want to lie to you. That esports star, he's not human at all. He's the leader of an organ trafficking ring. He made me trick wealthy socialites, promising to help them go pro, only to lure them to hospitals to have their kidneys harvested. Back then, when General Lin first approached Nox Jiang thought he was exceptionally talented. Yet no one knew that this glamorous esports star had secretly committed all sorts of unspeakable deeds behind the scenes. Despair filled Nox Jiang's eyes. Trembling, he crawled over and grabbed hold of my pant leg. Mom, I know I was wrong. I don't want any esports team anymore. I don't want to die. Can you help me pay the penalty fee? Please, Mom, I can study abroad, learn finance, go anywhere. Just help me this once. I calmly pushed his fingers away, my expression cold. Did you ever imagine this day would come when you signed the contract? Nox Jiang's forehead hit the smooth floor tile with a dull thud. Just save me, and I'll do whatever you say from now on, Mom. Please, I can't be bothered to look at his pitiful expression anymore. Regret, I'm afraid it's too late for that. Want me to help you pay back the money? Not a chance. I still have the parent-child relationship termination agreement. Would you like to see it? I waved my hand, and two black-clad bodyguards silently stepped forward, lifting Nox Jiang to escort him out. Nox Jiang struggled and wailed, his voice shrill yet powerless. Mom, you can't abandon me. You're my real mother. I didn't even turn my head, my expression calm. Didn't you say you'd make me look at you in a new light by your own efforts? Now's your chance. Go ahead, Ju Ran. See our guest out. Ju Ran remained expressionless as he waved his hand, and the two men escorted Nox Jiang away. The door closed, and as I leaned back on the sofa, I suddenly felt utterly exhausted. Aren't you regretting it? Ju Ran asked softly. Regret? From the moment he made his choice, there was no turning back. 7 days later, Ju Ran dragged his suitcase to the airport, and before parting, he bowed to me. Aunt Shin, thank you for taking me in. I will work hard and never let you down. I ruffled his hair and said calmly, all right, go ahead. The road ahead is long. There's no need to look back. Later, Jiang Ting, who had insisted on marrying a fake tycoon, was deceived and taken to the South China Sea, where she was beaten to death, leaving no trace of her remains. Nox Jiang ultimately failed to escape the quagmire. He had his kidney removed and was found dead in the suburbs. What about Ju Ran? In just 1 year, he rose to become a legend in the capital circle and even took over all of Myra Jiang's assets in one fell swoop. As for Myra Jiang and Su Qingzhu, make the arrangements. Continue providing Myra Jiang and Su Qingzhu with the necessary medication and care, just enough to keep them barely alive. I want them to suffer a fate worse than death. In this lifetime, retribution came swift and decisive. I can finally enjoy some peace and quiet.